Matt, last year 7 Pro Bowlers, this year 3. I know you'd love to have a few more, but you still have 4 on your roster that just haven't played. But yet you're right where you were a year ago. What does that say about the rest of the crew?
I think it says that we've got a very well-rounded team, and certainly anybody that gets the accolades, they can't do it by themselves. So there's got to be great players around them, and I think it just speaks to the strength of our team. Certainly, we feel like that there's others that were worthy of that award, but sometimes it just plays out the way it does, and we're thankful that we have a lot of great players on this team.
Rob Domofsky.
Hey, Matt, in the most pressing of pressing matters, Jason asked you the other day about whether you're going to let the guys stay home or go home a little bit for Christmas night before the game. What are you guys going to do there now?
I'm surprised you guys are so interested in that. Can I keep some things between the team?
You can do whatever you want.
All right, thanks, Rob.
You're the boss.
I appreciate that.
Bill Huber.
I'm not sure how to follow up on that one. Matt, what makes a good coach?
I think there's a lot of things that make a good coach. I think, first of all, it starts with just as a person investing in the player. I think first and foremost, you got to care about your players. I think you got to be able to communicate at a high level. I think you got to be able to listen to your players. And I think also you better know what you're talking about. You better be able to help these guys, whether it's with technique, X's and O's, everything that plays into that in order to help them become the best version of themselves. And so I think we've got a lot of great coaches on this staff, and we're fortunate to have them.
Cassidy Hill.
Hey, Matt, we saw Kenny Clark back out there today. Is that just the first step in his process? How's he feeling? And along that same line, J.C. Treader announced a couple hours ago that he had tested positive, and that just continues to seem to be the case with the Browns. I know COVID is almost like you know how to deal with it at this point, but what is it like game planning when you could have an opponent with a completely different roster on Saturday?
Yeah, that's just the times that we're in. I think that's no different each and every week when you go out there. Injuries are a part of the game, and you got to be able to adjust. Certainly, I think when you talk about game planning, you're always looking at the scheme first, and then you think about how the players impact the scheme. And just what adjustments you may have to make. So I think that's always kind of on your mind of just like, this week we're getting ready for the defensive side of the ball, whether or not, Myles Garrett is going to play. I know he's listed as questionable. You just got to have a plan for whether or not Jadeveon Clowney's in there, whoever's in there. You always have to have contingency plans, but you're always trying to attack the scheme and then think about the personnel. As far as Kenny's concerned, he's still going through the protocol. It was great to have him back in the building. It was great to see him out there at practice. And, provided he clears, then, he'll play. But we'll see where he's at and making sure that he is, first of all, healthy, because that's the most important thing, but and that he feels confident to go out there and play at a high level.
Wes Hodkiewicz.
Hey, Matt, kind of following up on Kenny too, getting his second Pro Bowl selection. I'm just wondering from your perspective what that meant to see him get that at a position that sometimes can go a little unrecognized and what he's sort of added to the defense this year.
Yeah, Kenny plays at the highest of levels. I think, you could definitely see his importance last week when he wasn't in there and the impact that it had on our defense. So he is a special player. He's a special person. I love how he works. He comes to work every day, ready to go. He's a great leader, just a guy that you can't have enough guys like that in your locker room.
MK Burgess.
Hey, Matt, Bill asked you what goes into being a good coach, but I'm just wondering what's been the biggest challenge for you this season and how has that made you a better coach?
The biggest, there's challenges each and every week. I think just kind of navigating through some of the adversity that we have had in terms of availability. luckily, again, it speaks to the strength of our roster that we've been able to overcome the majority of that. I think it speaks to just how invested not only our players but our assistant coaches are to putting in the work each and every day and taking it, really one game at a time with that mindset. There's just a lot of people that are that play a huge role in this thing.
Jason Wilby.
Hey, Matt. I can't speak for anybody else, but had your quarterback not complained about the antiquated idea of staying in a hotel and not having his bed that he loves, I'm not sure I would have asked about your Christmas Eve plans. You've coached a lot of guys in your career. Are there any people quite like Yash that you've coached? I'm not sure I've covered many guys that are kind of like him. He's an interesting and seems like a really hard guy not to like.
Oh, Yash is great. I'm not quite sure exactly what you're getting at in terms of the interesting part, but
he's so grateful. Like, it's easy if you have success in this league to be you kind of take it for granted. And I don't know if I've ever seen anybody quite as appreciative of where he is. And the guy's really helped this team out in a huge way this year too.
Yeah, he's had to block some pretty darn good defensive ends, and he's done it at a really high level. So we are so fortunate to have Yash. I think he's come so far from his first time stepping in this building. I'll never forget, we had a rookie meeting, and where we hand him out the notebooks, and he gets his notebook, and he comes up to me right afterwards, and he goes, "Hey, Coach, my name's not Josh, it's Yash." And I was like, "Okay, Yash, we'll get that fixed for you." But he's developed as much as anybody, I would say, over these last 3 years. And, I think, again, Steno, Buckus have done such a great job with him in his development, investing in him as a person, the time they put in with him on a daily basis. But also, Yash, you got to give the person credit in terms of just how he's taken to the coaching, and not only from Steno and Buckus, but guys like David Bakhtiari. I mean, David does such a great job, and there's so many guys in that room that have really helped him get to where he is. David, Billy Turner, just to name a few. But yeah, we are fortunate. Yash has been playing at a really high level.
Coach, going back to what you said in regards to coaches needing to be a good listener, I find that really interesting, especially in light of the fact that earlier this week you mentioned a couple players approaching you about practice and you adjusted your schedule. Do you think that's something you would have done your first year in the building?
Probably not, if I'm just being honest. I think it's just the trust that we have, I should say, in our guys when they come to you with something. I mean, it doesn't mean you always do it, but I think you always listen and try to figure out what is best for our team. And it has been definitely a collaboration amongst coaches, players, athletic trainers, our strength staff. It's really everybody. We're just trying to do what's right by the team.
We'll do two more. Bill Huber.
Man, I know you hate talking about yourself, so I apologize, but you've won a lot of games. You're beat to hell this year. So how have you done it? I mean, every coach talks about next man up. They all talk about one day at a time and all those things. But for whatever reason, it resonates with your guys. You keep winning. How have you guys pulled it off?
I think it speaks to the leadership of our football team. I think it speaks to everybody in that locker room because they have a choice whether they want to follow that message or not. And that's the bottom line. And, we've got great leaders in that locker room, and they choose to jump on that train, and it's done us well over the last couple of years. And now, granted, we haven't gotten to where we want to go, and we know that there's a lot more in front of us, and we got to continue to attack it on a daily basis and just try to keep improving each and every day, because like the old saying goes, you're either getting better or you're getting worse. You're never staying the same. And I think those guys take that to heart. They come to work with a great attitude every day, or the majority of days. Not to say some guys don't have a bad day now and again, but I would say the majority of the guys, and it starts with the leadership in that room. I think it starts, with our assistant coaches. we just got a lot of good people around here. And then when you get a lot of good people that are talented, you have a chance to do something special.
Last one, Dave Schrader.
Hey, Matt, hearkening back to the Pro Bowl stuff, you love to see your guys recognized. I was wondering, though, with some of the alternates, it's nice to get recognized even if they didn't make the roster. But were you surprised that Devondre wasn't even named an alternate after what he's done for you this year?
Yeah, I think it's, I've got my own opinions on it. I think he absolutely is worthy of that honor. But, sometimes it takes a year to really get your name out there and for everybody to recognize it. But I think everybody on this football team, in this building, in around the league that really knows what's going on, knows that he's been a tremendous player this season for us, and he's a big reason why we've been able to have so much success, not only on the defense side of the ball, but as a football team.